Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Apple. This particular video is going to be focused on Apple, and since we are closing in on the earnings towards the end of the day today, we are merely a couple of hours away, and I want to talk about how Apple is looking like, how the chart is looking like for Apple pre-earnings, and what it is that we're able to see, and we will then be able to see the outcome, whether I'll end up being more correct or more wrong. So far, just before we drop there, S&P, as you can see, we opened up quite high with in fact, the market rallied roughly around $100 throughout the night, and then we opened up with a gap of about $70, started closing the gap. The gap mostly closed, almost just a little bit of a leftover. Overall negative sentiment, overall looking downwards, becoming more bearish as we go. And so on the grand scheme of things, looking more bearish than bullish, right? SPX, that is. And as you can imagine, that will affect Apple, and Apple will affect SPX. Right now we're looking at a mixed day, kind of a little bit of green here and there, mostly red, as you can see on the screen right now. Tesla is 222 down, Google is about 2% down, JP Morgan down 1%. So we're kind of seeing all sorts of red all over the place. Netflix almost 1% down, all sorts of red. The market definitely cannot be called bullish right now. So let's look at Apple. And before we actually analyze the chart properly, I just kind of want to show you, those who cannot see clearly what's going on here and a little bit confused by this. When we were here, when we were at that higher point, I was highlighting what will happen if you can see that purple sort of structure, and I was saying that will of course has its internal structure. We'll then have a correction. Of course, here is that correction. When I tend to draw these things, I tend to draw them out just so they will be clearer, because it tends to magnetize per point. So I tend to make them clear. So here is that corrective movement that I said we will have. Here it is. And then a drop down, just like I said we will have with that purple line. And then I was kind of saying that what we will have is more or less a movement, potentially within highlighting the movement over here, making our way back to that yellow line. Now, if we're going to clean up everything, or at least some of that stuff here, so we can see what's going on, right? Let's clean all that stuff up so we can see what really has happened. Okay, and as you can see, exactly what I said. When we were that high, we ended up having that corrective movement, then a movement downwards, then we're intertwined within that sort of area, making our way up towards the yellow line. So far, it looks like I would arguably say 90% accurate about my expectation about what I thought, how things will play out for Apple. Um, of course, granted that all of this entire head, this entire top, was something less of an expected sort of structure. We expected it to be overall lower, given how the SPX was predicted to play out. But then when we did have all that structure, of course, that was the narrative, that was the sentiment. These were the support and resistance levels we ended up testing. Now, what is the sentiment right now? I am kind of having and holding it on screen on purpose. We are becoming more bearish. If we look objectively to where we are right now, we are again testing that yellow line, that 217.50, which I was highlighting literally months ago. We're looking more bearish objectively. We are in oversold territory, although transitioning to be bullish in bearish territory, giving us more or less that tamed down bearish price action. So my expectation is bearish, but not all too strong, meaning roughly the range of 194.95 right here, which is the bottom of our monthly channel. But if we look at our 3 months, which is our quarterly, something that more or less implies the bigger picture, which you can see now, even though I've deleted most of the stuff, you can see leftovers of the overall process. And yes, there is an expectation, a larger expectation, to see the market overall make it to as low as 120, 114 over time. You can even see the marking right here, 120, 114 range. But it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to happen very gradually via moving lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, making new lower lows over time if things will play out the way the structure appears to be. Of course, it appears to be that we're going to be far more likely than not creating some form of head and shoulders right here. So expect potentially another movement to the upside. It doesn't have to be also accurate or symmetrical with the previous shoulder. This is just a rough sketch example to paint a picture, so to speak. So we are seeing we are bearish on the quarterly. Closing in, I mean, of course, we still have roughly about, well, 2 months, given that today we're moving over to August, which, by the way, be very attentive to my next video. I will be posting out a promo code for subscribing to the Patreon, joining the community, so you will be in the know just like the rest of my community members. We're completely aware and in the know of this upcoming price action, and none of this has surprised any of my members because, well, first of all, we go over the indicators, we go over these assets all the time, whether it's in ad-free content that I make for them, if it's in videos, in lives, depending, just talking about it in the community itself, whichever. We do so many activities from which you can learn and be more prepared for these sort of things. Definitely join the community. It's patreon.com/investory. Just like the name of the channel, right? So, I mean, realistically speaking, if we can look at the 4 hours, 4 hours can indicate for us potentially we can see within the 4 hour framework what it is that we are potentially going to see throughout the day today or towards the earnings later tonight. We can absolutely, with the market going completely volatile as we enter earnings itself, market can behave in a very volatile fashion, skyrocketing all the way to 217 again. There is that high range of the 4 hourly channel, which is very similar to what we will get on a short range from the. No, that is actually not. That is not the same channel. It is actually higher. It is somewhat higher. It is right here. Not that different. I mean, to be fair, it's about $5 difference. So 225. As you can see, we have a major fib retracement level there as well. So arguably, I would say this vicinity may be the area to which the price action will jump up. You can see that level was significantly retested prior. That level was acknowledged, and the market is well aware of it. We tested it multiple times. I did kind of skip here a couple of times that we tested this level. Here it is. You can clearly see the acknowledgement of that level, and I'm not even going too deep. If I'll go deeper, of course, you know what, just why not? Let's do that for the sake of the example. I just highlighted them anyways, all right? So we are looking at, what vicinity was that? I think my markings are not also too stretched, so I can't recognize them myself. Here they are. Here are these markings. Let's see how accurate they are. And as you can tell, the market is very well acknowledging these. Oh, let's remove that noise. The market is very well acknowledging that 125 level, which we were just talking about. Here it is. Here it is. Here it comes into play again. Every single time. I think I might have moved something by accident. Yeah. Every single time we stumble upon that level was significantly retested again and again and again, as you can see right here, 225. That level was significantly acknowledged, respected. All right. I hope that's clear enough for those who are not trained to identify and understand the importance of the support and resistance levels, the various retracement levels we get, especially from the Fibonacci retracement, which is a very highly important tool in our tool set, in our toolkit. Join the community, you'll know. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. So here's that 225, which has been acknowledged quite significantly so. And now we are about to potentially retest it again. Where are we? Here we are. So now potentially with the price action spiking today in entering earnings, whether it's because we're going to get better than expected numbers. If we are looking at revenue, we're looking at 89 billion. Let's compare it to our previous. So we are expecting a bit of a drop on the revenue side of things, right? And if we're looking at earnings, we are expected to see a potentially a significant drop, really, from a 1.6 to a 1.4 right there. So given the estimates right now as they stand, if we don't have, amazing results, the market will potentially react in a very negative fashion. But prior to, given how trading just behaves and the market makers set things up, we may see the price action spike prior to, because we did see some leftovers of bullish momentum. Even if, for example, right here on the 30 minutes, we still see bullish momentum as we're closing in on the end of the day. We still have enough bullish momentum right here just as is to push towards 217.50, potentially even higher. If we are looking at the fact of the matter that we are still in overbought territory and bullish on the hourly, so yeah, there is this more bullish momentum to squeeze, and arguably so this, given the location and the strength, it is strong enough to penetrate that 217.50 and maybe even make it further. And as we said, that next further point would be 224, 225.47, as you can see on the screen right there. Given just where the channels are passing, where the resistances are, we can easily expect that behavior. But overall, do not forget the bottom line of it all. Even if we see this spike, and especially when the markets do calm down, and even if we do see a retest of that 225, the overall analysis, just to kind of summarize it all, bottom line, even if we do see a rally, a continuation right here of a movement to the upside towards here, the overall outcome is downwards or downwards altogether. Again, I'm exaggerating. I tend to stretch these things out, right? Just kind of like that or like that, if you want to have a better, clear analogous of what it is that I'm saying. Where to? We're looking at potentially levels of 200 given it's a very strong psychological level. We have the junction right here of our daily channel. Let me bring all the other channels up so we can see where the channels may be. We're looking at 200, which is a very strong psychological level, so not all that far. We have the junction right here of our daily long-term median. We have our short-term daily right here, roughly around 209, 210. So we have a multitude, in fact, a whole array of support and resistance levels that need to be broken in order for us to break towards 182. And so I don't think that will be immediately the direction. Don't forget we have 190, also a strong psychological level. So although I notice it's been neglected lately and we basically bounce around between 200 and 180, so mostly our range is 210, 280 arguably, given the daily time frame. If we're looking right there on our weekly, what can we see? Where is our support and resistance levels? Surprise, surprise, they fall on the very same ranges as we were just showing right now on the daily. Right here, here's our nearest weekly median, if you will. That is, it appears to be, yes, the median of the internal channel, the short-term channel. Here it is. We've been moving along this channel for quite a while, as you can tell. Oh, right, you can see this line, and my inability to draw straight lines is just amazing. So here it is. We've been moving within the framework of this thing. So basically what we're saying, we may see some volatility that will push us up to complete this first prior to breaking downwards towards this vicinity, which is 190, 190, 182 potentially with some slippage, and potentially we're looking at all of that on the upside, although arguably I really struggle to see it being able to have all that bullish momentum that we saw, given how bearish it is on the larger time frames, as you can see right here. Right, it's already bearish. Basically, we have red dominance, D dominance, right? That moving average tool, basically, that stochastic RSI, is indicating to us that we have more selling in the system right now, already more selling than buying. So, conclusion. Bottom line is, even if we do have a bit of a spike, overall our movement appears to be towards the downside, roughly around 190, 180 ranges. Even if we do get an initial spike first towards 225, and maybe, I'm exaggerating, 230, but arguably that would be quite a stretch for the market to do, and then a drop down. This is the summary for Apple. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm expecting. Overall, Apple is no different than all the other assets are indicating something similar to what the SPX is showing, and this is why we have this big blue line that is indicating a magnificent drop and then a magnificent correction, just as the market tends to do. But of course, we will be the judges of that when we do end up reaching that 65, when we do reach that 120.07 level and 114.12 level. When we do reach these levels, we will then be able to be judges whether this thing may play out and start rallying right away, or dwell along the bottom, retest various levels before Apple really comes up with good new tech, or really does something to improve what they're doing right now, because right now they're definitely on a horrible path. Just a horrible path. That's all I'm going to say. It is what it is. In any case, boys and girls, that was Apple for you. I hope to see you in the community. In fact, I'm still not working from, not doing everything from my computer as I usually used to do. I'm supposed to get the case within the next following couple of days. Those who stuck around and want to join patreon.com/investory, this is how you'll be in the know. You will not be surprised via this sort of price action. You'll understand the meaning of all these support and resistance levels, why, where, how, which tool, how important it is, and everything and anything in between. All of that stuff is what the community is dedicated to. We focus on technical analysis, not on gut feelings. In the community, say if you have a gut feeling, take it to the bathroom, it may pass. That's it, boys and girls. Hope to see you on the community, in the community, on the Discord. Patreon is just a gateway. You join through Patreon, then it will give you all the links and tips and guidance of how to join Discord and how to navigate Discord and all that beautiful stuff. And if you need help on Discord, when you do join, there is a special channel for opening a support ticket. Just open a support ticket, and me or one of the admins will reach out to you and will help you out, so sort things out and join the Discord. For the time being, you all have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow or on the next one. Bye for now.